Go.
Welcome to our podcast. This is your night. Well, this is that was your cue.
Was it?
That was your cue.
At least say hi. A little bit of passion.
Yes.
Look, it's only because
Daddy Alexander didn't okay.
No. Is before we start, it's only I've not done podcasts. It's only because I've done a lot thingy of this recently.
Yeah.
And
you gotta give people
the directors, producers always say to me, Alex, you're naturally charismatic.
Yeah.
Your energy. But even so,
you give even
it's
more.
good. You can still,
For you can always add like 20-30%.
Now we're not doing a 5-minute commercial shoot, granted. But give
it a little bit more energy.
Yeah, and a little bit.
Because some of that energy is even lost to the camera.
Exactly.
So you just need to. That's why
exactly.
I totally understand that.
Yeah. And once you get
Yes.
Take two.
Welcome to our podcast. I'm Basel, and this is.
And I'm Alex Goldsmith. This is the first episode of the Brothermen. Here we are in Maidan. As you can see, there's Maidan Grandstand behind us. And this
beautiful weather today. It's a really, really great day to just have a chat and see where we can go with maybe something valuable for you viewers. And we hope you can hop along the ride.
Something to look back on. Yes, you can watch it.
Hopefully.
Yeah. What are we talking about today? Yeah.
I think it will be just natural to talk about podcasts. Why podcasts and why we've been wanting to do this for a long time. So Alex would know because we wanted to do this for a long time, like 2 years now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we first started...
You've been talking about wanting to do a podcast for 2 years now.
Yeah. It's been on the agenda. We've been wanting to get started, kick-started.
I think a podcast is such a great idea because every person needs a platform or a voice to express their ideas, and when you have a podcast, it's the perfect place to do that. You can get your own, say, community on board to have these discussions, and you may share some things that go viral, not because they, have something special about them, but it's just a unique perspective. It's just a unique perspective.
And what I love about podcasts is, firstly, the accessibility. So the entertainment, but the information that podcasts are now bringing to the masses for free, and people can be selective as to what podcasts they listen to, watch, and it's very unique. But also, I think it's fantastic how the different podcasts and different hosts from podcast personalities overlap.
Yeah.
So you'll see individuals maybe from different areas, different backgrounds, got different expertise, but they're guests on each other's podcasts.
Yeah.
And this is great how it works.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think we can also talk a little bit more about the hosts, so we can get to know you and we can get to know me and see from there how we can move on to different topics, relevant topics. So, when did you come to Dubai exactly?
I came to Dubai pushing 10 years ago. Towards the end of this year, it'll be 10 years. So nearly a decade ago.
And before then, you were in England the whole
London.
time?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm from London, England, so that's where I've spent the majority of my life. I have travelled the world quite extensively.
For vacation or also for work?
A bit of both.
A bit of both.
In my younger years, predominantly for vacations. So I've been all over North America, South America, been to Australia.
Okay, and can you give us like a short shot of what kind of positions you've held and how your career trajectory has been? Has it been more linear, or has it been kind of like a zigzag of different experiences?
It's definitely been zigzag. It's definitely been non-linear. in as much that my initial background is very much financial markets in the City of London. Started there at a young age with JP Morgan, which was a fantastic opportunity. So all through my 20s, through into my mid-30s, financial markets in London.
You were with JP Morgan for that long?
Not JP Morgan for that long, no. I was with JP Morgan in the early years.
Yeah.
I then went down on the what's known as the Life Market, London International Financial Futures Exchange, which is a derivatives exchange, futures and options. Went down there with JP Morgan, and then I joined Salomon Brothers International, as they were back in the day, who were the most preeminent investment bank in the world in terms of financial market activity.
So were you for that whole like initial period, you were a portfolio manager? Was that your position, or?
No, not. I wouldn't call it portfolio manager. You working down on the exchange floor, where it's open outcry.
Oh wow, yeah, so, and also like so that long ago, maybe like 20 years ago, it was things were very different.
Very, very different. Everything's automated now. The whole world is automated, and including the way financial markets are conducted and traded. Now, obviously, it's all automation.
Were you specialised in any specific industries?
It's government bonds and interest rates.
Oh, okay, but that's more like way more stable than other stuff.
More stable than other stuff,
yeah.
But derivatives
aren't as stable.
Derivatives are what you call volatile. Even though the underlying instruments, being government bonds, are definitely more stable compared to other financial instruments. But when you're talking about derivatives, futures and options,
I'm aware.
Yeah,
I'm aware they're volatile.
There's volatility.
You know, with high risk, high return, right? That's how things work.
Yeah, things move very, very quickly.
So you worked for basically in the financial markets industry for the first kind of 20 years of your career.
Yes.
And then after that, you came here?
No, I didn't come. I didn't come here immediately. I was instrumental in the birth and the growth of a sports apparel brand in the UK, which is quite unusual because it was ski sports.
Okay.
So you don't get many out of the UK. They tend to be from obviously North America or European, where there are mountains.
Oh, so
the brand's still alive. Surfanic. The brand's still alive. So we did this out of Essex in the UK. So it initially was a predominantly snowboard brand, and I hasten to add apparel and accessories. So not hardware. We're not talking about boards because that's very specialised. So apparel, clothing, and all the various accessories. And then sort of overlapped into ski as well, because then freestyle skiing. Initially, back in the day, if you go back to the 40s, 50s, 60s, it was all about skiing.
Is Essex your hometown?
It's where I was born. It's the county in which I was born. So I'm an Essex geezer, which is, it's a known fact that Essex geezers have certain characteristics that are quite unique.
So this brand you were with for like a few years, 3-5 years?
Yeah. So I headed up sales. I was head of sales for that brand.
But I mean, you went from financial markets to something like sales and apparel.
But
I mean, honestly, for me, when I hear that, it's way more attractive than financial markets. Way more stable too, because way less stressful. Here's
the interesting thing, and also what I've done since I've been in Dubai. Sales, I think it's about people skills, and if you've got certain people skills, then those skills lend themselves to different industries, and you can transfer to different industries.
Absolutely.
When it's based on people skills, especially when communication and sales is at the core of whatever you're doing.
Yeah, then of course it's transferable.
It's just transferable.
My personal take on sales is that it's not about kind of shoving a product down somebody's throat. It's about understanding, okay, does this person need this product? What is this person looking for? And then you match them with it. And that's usually the easiest and best sale, where both sides are happy and both sides are satisfied with what went down.
People or businesses buy into an individual first before they buy into the product or the service. They're buying into the sales person.
Especially with services. My experience has been since, say briefly, we have a home services company here in Dubai. We provide all kinds of things: home cleaning, home moving, maintenance. When the customer or the client feels that they can easily communicate with us, and we're always with them with what they need, and kind of like
empathetic. So it's understanding the clients.
They feel like they've been sold on it, because that's the nature of the services business. They need the client needs to feel like they have a good connection with the seller.
Exactly. For me, there's three key things. Firstly, credibility. You should have credibility as an individual, and as the business you're representing or owning, operating, should have credibility. And then it's about trust and confidence. And if you display credibility, trust, clients can buy into, your trust and confidence.
Integrity.
Then it works.
Yeah.
It works. If any of those elements, those three elements are missing, then
it falls apart.
It falls apart. It's either a complete non-starter,
yeah,
or it will fall apart.
That's right.
Because those three elements are vital, I feel, regardless of the industry, regardless of the product, regardless of the service.
Yeah. So you worked in that brand, and then what made you decide? Okay, let me leave my home country and go to Dubai.
Because again, things evolve, and again we can come back to the technological revolution that we've been experiencing and living through. And it evolved. Just the same with financial markets. Open outcry exchanges ceased to be. There was no need for them once everything went automated.
Yeah.
The same with the retail industry. When you're a sales and you're in the wholesale space, you're dealing with retailers who have stores. Okay, but of course, once everything goes. The journey began some time ago.
Yeah.
But once the online aspect of retail accelerated to a degree when almost 100% is online, then that negates the need to have, bricks and mortar stores.
Yeah.
Because
so that business kind of stalled after that.
I stalled slightly. But more evolved into an online business where you're going direct to the customer.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I'm saying in the story of Alex, what was the trigger? Okay, let me move to Dubai, and then you moved here and you stayed here for 10 years. So
yeah, well, because I was like a lot of people that come to Dubai. I don't think I was particularly unique in that aspect. That coming to Dubai with an open mind, seeing what opportunities there were in Dubai. Knowing about Dubai, having been here a few times, knowing individuals that were here at the time, involved in different businesses, even knowing individuals that had been here and spent some years here, but had since returned to their native country.
But weren't your friends and family in England, and you had everything settled, probably your home is there. So moving to another country, okay, there's prospects, there's opportunities, unexplored opportunities, which seems exciting and fun. But so you were ready to move. You weren't really that attached. You weren't really married to anything.
Exactly.
In England.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Firstly, I think people tend to fall in one of two camps. They're either attached to the security of their environment, their background, their life journey up to that point, which would include family, of course, and friends, where they're from, where they grew up, and they don't want to detach themselves from that. Or people fall into the other camp, such as myself, whereby they're they don't feel they're not too overly attached to that, and they have an urge, a desire to constantly explore and experience different things, different environments, different experiences, different businesses, meeting new people, experiencing different cultures, different countries. I could go on and on. I think you fall into one of those two camps, and clearly I fall into the second camp of almost, getting a bit fidgety when things have been the same
for a while. So when you moved here, you started in real estate right away?
No, I didn't start in real estate right away. I knew an individual from my banking days in London, who a female who'd been actually at Goldman Sachs in my banking days in London, who was managing director of a British business here, which was the core of the business was it was a private membership organisation for corporates and high net worth individuals, who were then provided with many services and
exclusive services?
Exclusive services, events, business events, high level social events for networking on a social basis and on.
So you started working with them?
I started working with them again as head of sales.
Oh, okay.
So I've always ended up in position of head of sales, but I still think it goes back to my days in the city of working on an exchange floor, where I'm either speaking to people all day long face to face, or I'm on the phones speaking to people, traders, investors, who are up in the trading rooms of banks. Either way, I'm speaking to people all day long every day. So you can't do that and not naturally be like a sales individual. You're utilising people's skills all day, every day. So that's why I've probably ended up in positions where I've been head of sales, director of sales in different businesses. So so this is what I was initially doing.
And then how did you make it into real estate? And when was that exactly?
Well, from there, that provided me, which was the whole idea, that provided me with a platform to network quickly, to discover Dubai and all of Dubai and network in Dubai via that position, and that's why I was attracted to it, and that's how it turned out to be. I met a lot of people from many different backgrounds, cultures, nationalities, different businesses, industries. In the first 18 months I was in Dubai, it was as if I'd been here for 5 or 6 years.
So you happened to expand your network.
I expanded my network
very
again,
quickly,
because
and then
I meet people, I connect with people.
Maybe you don't want to disclose the name of the company that you started working with, but when you started working in real estate, how long did you stay in real estate?
I stayed in real estate for, 2017, for about 5 years. So real estate, I'd met someone which was a private, via my position that I was working for at the current time, almost like in a consultancy basis. I was introduced, met a private family office, a high-level private family office here in Dubai. I was consulting on for a young guy who was going out into the private equity space to take over. I assisted, and then I initially was consulting, and then I just essentially teamed up. Like on a full-time basis.
So this guy had some. Was he a developer?
Well, at the time, one of the family enterprises was property management. There were some properties in a portfolio, so there was property management of those said properties. So you're talking about essentially the leasing to make sure they're fully occupied, leased.
So they brought you in kind of so you were consulting with, you're giving them some consulting work.
and then
you said they kind of it was a kind of gradual transition into
gradual transition, and then just sort of basically teamed up full time.
Okay. And how would you rate your experience in real estate for the past 5 years in Dubai?
In Dubai.
Yeah,
in Dubai. Just change the topic a little because it's becoming too much about this.
Yeah.
In Dubai, well, fantastic. Firstly, I obviously real estate property is very prominent, as everyone knows, in Dubai, and I also relished the opportunity, already being a fairly mature, experienced guy, to have an opportunity to do something fresh, something new. I'm always keen.
But you were also on the sales end, weren't you?
Again, there's a sales aspect. There's a sales aspect to it. You're dealing with people.
Yeah.
You're dealing with people all day long. And then what happened with that business, because we then evolved to becoming a boutique property developer. Started off pure property management, and then because in the background there was a construction company. So then, in my role, assisting the young Emirati in Dubai, we were then coordinating with consultants, contractors, main contractors, subcontractors, and developing some, sort of small boutique but standout real estate projects.
But what I understand about you from all of this is you've always been the kind of guy that kind of takes the opportunities as they come. And you don't seem to be calculated. You don't have a calculated approach.
You're very much alike.
As he's going to come out in due course through the podcasts. Okay, I have a background in boxing. Boxing is my main passion in the sporting world. I have some boxing pedigree. That's still my main method of training and keeping fit.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I always find interesting and amusing, there's so many sayings in our everyday life
that are
that
boxing
come
related
from boxing, and from so many years ago, from decades ago, if not 100 years
examples
ago.
To think of?
And one just came to mind. There is. What I do is roll with the punches, and there's going to be loads that come out because you'd be surprised how many come from the sport of boxing. And some people will immediately identify as, that's a boxing term. Others people won't. And I'll say, that comes from boxing, and this is the reason why. But I'm happy.
You don't ever sit down in your apartment and think to yourself, okay, where do I see myself in 10 years, or what do I want for myself? I say this because I'm very much like that.
Well,
and Waqas over there is just laughing his face off because he's so different.
I'm laughing because who does that?
Exactly.
You shouldn't do that.
Where you see so
it's not a matter of actually setting a goal that you imagine will actually come true.
Well,
but to have a direction.
Listen.
To have a direction.
Again, that's a good question, and obviously that's a question that many people get asked. I may be a little bit unusual on that front. I can definitely see the value, and I am a believer in goal setting, and then doing everything, developing good habits, processes, whatever, on a daily basis to achieve that end goal. And I believe that, and it works. However, if I may finish, I'm to some degree, that's not, if I'm honest, that's not how I've lived my life. I wouldn't advise necessarily younger people and my own sons to follow the path that I've done, because I think if you do go into a sphere, whether that be a career or ideally it be something you're passionate about, and then it's much easier to set the goals and work towards them on a daily basis and achieve that goal, and then once you arrive at that place, it ticks all your boxes.
I wouldn't say that here's the thing. Like, now we might be transitioning to a slightly different topic, but the goal itself See, a lot of people might get some form of happiness from actually achieving the goal, but then we ask ourselves the question, what does it mean to live a happy life? Is it about achieving that goal, or is it about kind of taking the opportunities and making the most of what you have and what you get?
That's right. I don't know. Again, everyone's a little bit different. For me now, I think it's more about little goals, smaller targets, and to achieve it. And then it's the journey. I think that's what most people.
The journey is definitely It's a very underappreciated thing. People always are so fixated of when I get to this point, when I have this house, when I have this car, when I have this job or that position, that's when I'll be happy. And then they realize, they realize it was never really that thing that they were looking for, which is going to make them happy.
Exactly.
It's enjoying the ride.
It's enjoying the ride and the journey towards that goal, and then I guess reset and then have another goal and another positive journey.
But my feelings about setting goals is not a matter of actually getting the goal itself, but more like how do you want the ride to be like? What kind of ride do you want to be on? Because, for example, if say I decide, okay, I want to be a boxer, in New York City, I want to be a professional boxer, then that will look like you're going to need to do more training on a daily basis, and you're going to have to endure a lot of physical pains. Whereas you say, if I say I've decided, okay, at my age, I want to be a doctor. Yeah, who's stopping me?
Exactly.
It's going to have a lot of like studying involved.
Exactly. This is one bit. So this is why sport is always a great analogy for life. It's always the perfect analogy for life, and I think that's why sport is so relevant actually in the world we live in, and it's so popular because of its parallels with people's life. You know, the hard work, the achievements, the successes, the failures. The bouncing back, whatever sport it is, you know, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. You need to work at it. You know, sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you're going to lose, sometimes maybe you're going to draw. But that's why sport and life, by the way, for a lot longer than people could imagine, you know, the ancient Greeks were, you know, indulging and saw the relevance of sport, and that's how the Olympics was born. You know, it was Greek. It comes from Olympia, so they saw the value of it, you know, thousands of years ago. But we think of sport as in terms of modern sports in modern history. But it's been around. But sorry, just to finish off on that. Yeah, you're right. I'm. Let's be realistic. That's why I said I wouldn't necessarily advise younger people in the same way I've led my life, because I can't be a doctor now.
Would you say?
I haven't got the time and the inclination to put in the requisite study.
You've got to work with what
Would you say you've been kind of, let's not say the word happy is a pretty strong word. When I say that, I mean
content.
Would you say you've been content in the past 2 years? Let's say 2 years with how things have been going in your life, and in the coming 2 years, what do you think will contribute to you being more content about your life?
Well, the first answer is no. I haven't been overly content in the last 2 years.
Right.
Probably because this is the whole thing. But probably because I've been a bit too idle for my liking in the last couple of years.
Idle?
Oh, yeah, idle. I've been a bit too idle. So I'd like to be, but I have gone into some and undertaken some new challenges and new experiences, as I was telling you, like doing some acting at my age, going into doing some acting for the first time ever. It's nothing I would have ever imagined I would have done.
I feel like it's a missed opportunity to say that you're not content because you're idle, because that idle time, if you take advantage of it, is a time to reflect. Maybe say,
True.
Okay,
well, that's a good point.
What's the next step?
Well, that's a good point,
what's
and
the next step?
that's a nice way of looking at it. But I think
always look
But
at
I think
the
it's also
opportunity.
natural. I think it's also that's a nice way to look at it, and I like that philosophy. But it's also quite natural that people are going to experience a little bit of, if we're honest, okay, a little bit of fear, insecurity. Most people, particularly
I would say most people experience this. In my opinion.
guys, are not happy. Are not happy to admit, publicly, that they ever experience any sort of fear or insecurity.
I would say most people try to drown out their thinking and drown out like planning with doing. I would that's usually kind of how I perceive most people. Or I don't say most. I perceive most people, but many people do go about their lives this way, which is, I'm just gonna do the next. Let's move on to the next thing, the next thing, because they don't want that idle time where they have to think. Okay, where am I going? Where am I heading?
Exactly. Look, we could deviate here into a whole completely different subject matter, which, by the way, I do have a tendency to deviate and go off on tangents, by the way. But
I'll try and keep
not
you
all
in
for
mind.
not all for one podcast. But now we can start. We can get into this whole thing about, which is obviously very topical and very relevant at the moment, about man, the male identity. People wanting to use this term all the time about male toxicity.
No, honestly, I want to focus on generalities. How I want to do this is, we'll talk about you, and then we'll kind of try to extrapolate lessons.
Sure.
From that, have you ever done anything like set direction? I don't like to say goals, because it's never about the goal. We both already understand that.
Yeah.
It's not the goal that brings fulfillment and contentment. It's the journey toward that goal.
Yeah.
So I feel the need to maybe bring up some personal matters, but you can stop me there if that doesn't work for you. So, do you have children?
Yeah.
You do have children.
Yeah.
Yes. How many children do you have?
I have 3, for sure, sons, biological sons.
Yeah.
And then I have another 2, what I would deem my stepsons, 2 boys that I raised from a young age. Okay, so I didn't marry their mother.
Yeah.
So maybe officially they're,
Yeah.
but I would consider my stepsons, and they would consider me their stepfather.
Yeah.
And I'm still very much in contact.
That's good.
With them.
You have a good relationship with
So
them.
I have a good relationship with them. So essentially, the simple answer is I have 5 grown-up sons. The youngest of those is 19.
The youngest and the oldest.
And the oldest is 26.
Okay, all right. They're all young men.
They're all young men.
They're all young. They're all young men in their prime, really.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about your role in their lives, and what do you want it to be? Or would you say that your philosophy to, say, parenting at this age is pretty much advice and guidance and hands off? Because for me personally, and I'm quite young, I would say, I imagine at this age with your kids, you've already done what you can to raise them, and you've already done what you can to kind of be hands-on and kind of more involved in what their decisions are. But at this stage, they're like, okay, you can give them advice, but they're old enough to know what's best for them.
Look,
so I don't know. You can tell me what you feel about that.
Parenting or being a parent, playing a role of parent, never stops.
But it evolves, doesn't it?
Yeah, it evolves. My parents are still alive, which is wonderful, alhamdulillah. So I still have a relationship with, my parents. So parenting never stops, but of course it evolves and takes on a completely different angle. In fact, it evolves from when children are babies to toddlers, to young children, to adolescents, to young adults.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you.
The role is constantly evolving.
So what do you think it looks like for you in the next few years towards your sons?
The next few years, it's definitely, as you've already said, it's one more of guidance and advice if they want it. invariably maybe they're often not going to want it or feel that they.
Would you
they
describe
themselves-
would you describe yourself as the kind of dad that feels offended when their kids don't take his advice, or do you feel like you give it and let things be as they be? How do you feel when you give your son advice about a certain decision that they're making? Do you feel like if they don't take your advice, you are maybe a bit frustrated or maybe upset or disappointed, or do you feel like, okay, he's made his decision and that's okay?
Like I said, it's constantly at their age now. It's not about my age. It's about their age.
Mm-hmm.
At their age now, I only give advice when they request it. So it's what you call reactive advice. I don't proactively try and stick my nose in their lives, their business, and tell them, look, even though when I'm not aware of everything that's going on in their life, of course, because they're grown men and they're living their own lives, and in fact they're all in the UK.
Are you in regular contact with all of them?
But I'm in sufficiently regular contact. But the advice given is only when it's requested, and that's probably the best way it should work anyway. Even if you're, even when my eldest son was living with me here in Dubai, up until recently, he was with me here for nearly 7 years.
Yeah.
So then the dynamic is different because you're living under the same roof.
Yeah.
But he was, for 7 years. So, but when he departed, he was 25, almost 26.
Yeah.
So for the last however many years, even then, I'm not. I can observe what's going on in his life because we're living under the same roof. So it's a little bit different. But even then, you don't. You should.
I'd ask only one question. What do you want for your sons? Do you want anything specific for them? And I will give examples like, do you want for your sons that in the next, 5 or 10 years they get to travel the world more? Or do you want for them that they get married? Or do you want for them, or is there anything specific you want for them?
No, absolutely not. Not specifics. I do not want for me to say I want them to travel the world, or for me to say I want them to get married.
Yeah.
No, I want for them to be happy. Yeah, that's an easy thing to say, but to answer your question,
everybody wants to be
I
happy,
want for
right?
them to be happy and confident about the decisions that they're making. I want them to be happy and confident about the actions that they're taking. I want them to be happy and confident about the decisions that they are making. Now, what falls under that umbrella, in terms of, like you said, about relationships, travel, career, then those factors obviously fall under that umbrella. But I want for them to be confident and happy and content about their actions and decisions.
I'm sure there are some things if you've learned over the years that were like, okay, if I could redo that, maybe I would have done it differently, or I would have avoided this.
Do you know what?
Certain things, right? What would be those things? How would you give them to your sons?
Yeah,
because obviously it's wisdom.
Without being hypocritical.
Yeah, and wisdom is to learn from other people's mistakes, right? You don't want to see your son in a similar situation as you, and then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go do the same exact mistake. You'll feel like, what is this? I knew this was gonna happen. So
exactly. But look, that's a good point. Now, where something that I'm going to mention a lot is, and this I think comes from experience and a certain amount of maturity, that young people don't get, and this is not a criticism and judgment.
Yeah.
Certain things only come with experience.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a fact of life,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
You can't know at 21 what you're going to know at 41, 51.
Obviously, there are certain things you need to taste.
Because you take it from what you listen to, you read, whatever, what you're supposedly advised. But certain things you learn, and by the way, obviously you learn more things the hard way. You learn more things. Now, so I'm going to talk a lot about grey areas. Now, just to answer your question there, I feel lucky, and I wouldn't change anything in as much that I got married and had children relatively young, but I got divorced still relatively young. Yeah. I feel personally grateful that I have mature sons when I'm still what I would like to think full of energy, full of spirit, but I've got a relationship with mature sons, and
I-
I'm blessed also that I have a good relationship with my ex-wife. Now, you know, and in fact, I have a good relationship with the mothers of all those 5 boys.
Yeah.
But that's quite unusual, and I feel very lucky
But
for that.
I'm not getting from you basically.
Well, yeah, because I'm trying to get around to answering it.
Yeah. Sorry.
So I have to set the scene.
Yeah. Go for it.
I have to set the scene because, you know, to answer your question, would I advise those 5 boys to get married young, hastily, and have kids? And the answer is no. So that I have to answer about myself.
Yeah.
It worked for me,
Yeah.
but some of that is because I was lucky.
Yeah.
Would I advise them to do that? No. Do you want sons that that you want to be? Do you want them getting married young and getting divorced young? No, of course you don't.
But how do you define?
So I wouldn't advise them to do that.
How would you define young though? Because obviously I think we can both agree that certain people are wiser, like for their age, right? Like you can be 21 and as wise and say intelligent as a 30-year-old.
No, I don't agree.
You think?
I think when you use the word wise.
Yeah.
No, for me,
wisdom is.
I make the correlation
directly
between wisdom and experience.
Yeah.
I think you can be smart, even sometimes smarter than someone who's 10 years older, 20 years. You can definitely be smarter. I think for me, but people maybe have their different interpretations.
Yeah.
For me, I bracket wisdom with experience, wisdom through learning, through experience. I don't bracket wisdom with being intelligent or being smart. Maybe others have a different interpretation. That's just for me. And again, people from different ages, different eras may also have their different interpretations. For me, wise wisdom goes with experience.
But by that token, I would say that then in your head you think that then you must. I'm saying that you might have a number in mind what it means to be not young to get married. You know, not too young to get married. And what do you think that age is?
That's a good question. I don't think there's a simple answer. Firstly, like you've already pointed out, it's different for different people. The second thing is, I think again, the world has changed. I think this is a tricky one now. So if you go back to my parents' generation, my grandparents' generation, it was a given. People at a much younger age generally got settled into a career. Far less people were even going to university.
Yeah.
If you go back to generations before myself, people got married young, they had kids young. It was the done thing, it was the accepted thing, and that's what happened.
Yeah. I'm personally a big proponent of getting married young. So I'm in a different end.
That's good. That's interesting.
Yeah,
and this is where culture and religions, and they're slightly different.
Yes.
But also, let's also agree that culture and religion are very intertwined. But they're different. But they
can affect each other. I would say they can affect each other.
They're entwined. To some degree.
You always get value from having good principles.
And I have no doubt, without knowing about the Quran, without knowing about Islam, without knowing anything, I do know bits, but without knowing it to the degree I have no doubt that that's what it teaches you and tells you, I'm sure. Because I have enough understanding, mainly from Wakas, but I have enough understanding to sort of know that.
And you must have also observed it here and there.
I've observed it here and there.
I've also seen people who identify as Muslims who must be doing things obviously because they must practicing these principles.
But it's only right that I should also say at this point, I've also observed the absolute opposite, the absolute hypocrisy.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
And
of course.
There's people coming straight into my head.
Yeah, of course.
That pray. And Trump said, "Oh, come on, we're all going to pray together."
Yeah.
Like,
and then they do practice poor principles.
And then they go and really poor principles, and that really gets me going.
Yeah.
Because one thing I cannot abide by, and this has got nothing to do with because religion. This is a personality trait.
It's
I hate hypocrisy.
We can keep the conversation question going, but we're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not even thinking about you recording
Do it.
now.
An outro.
An outro. Okay, let's just do that actually. We hope that you've enjoyed our conversation today. We certainly benefited, and we certainly grew from this talk, and we hope that maybe you got some lessons from it that you can share with us in the comments, and maybe share your ideas of what kind of other conversations we can get into and touch on. And yeah, thank you for watching. Would you like to add anything, Alex?
No, the first podcast as an experience, I thought it was good. Yeah, it was interesting. It was fun. I feel inspired to do more. So I can't say more than that. To be inspired is always good. So see you again.